Great. Well, ciao, everyone. Welcome to our webinar for today. I am Peggy West, the organizer, and today we have How to Go Digital, and it's going to be by Vinteum Software, and Katie Bassford, their rep in the United States, is going to be making the presentation. What is digital marketing? Okay, I'm not totally sure, and I'm a marketing company, so I'll do that by admission or say that by admission. It is the use of websites, apps, mobile devices, social media, search engines, and other digital means that promote and sell products and services. And you're probably saying, well, I'm a homeowner association, I'm a condo association, I'm not really selling anything. Well, you are. You're selling quality management, quality board meetings, quality for everything you're doing at your association. So this ought to be really great. Vinteum is a longtime provider of excellent websites that we all need now. If you got 25 units or more in Florida, we now have a law. So I hope you get a lot out of this. I want to run through some housekeeping really quick before we get into it. Don't forget, if you have a question, put it in the Q&A box. If you have a comment, put it into the chat box. Most of the sponsors will be also putting their information into the chat box for you, but I will also be sending you a sponsor sheet following the class, and I'll also be sending you the slides as well as the recording link. So you can follow up on this, sit back, relax, absorb what you can, and then look at it again. So if you don't get a CEU credit, CAMS, you're going to get a lot of knowledge because things change. And what was on the high side last year, we have more this year. And Katie's going to tell us all about it. So let me introduce today's sponsors, starting with Ben Friedman. He's the president of City Quiet. Ben, tell us about yourself and what you do.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I apologize, I'm in my car, so I'm going to make a quick intro here. My name is Ben Friedman. I am the president of City Quiet Windows and Doors. And here at City Quiet, we provide turnkey white glove installation services for all window, storefront, door, and railing projects. We're happy to be a resource and come out to your community, give you an idea of what things might cost looking forward, potentially set up a town hall meeting for those residents if they're responsible for their windows and doors, to put together a group volume discount rate so that we can contribute back to the property. I appreciate Peggy as always and Vinteum including me. So thank you and enjoy the webinar.
Okay, Ben, great. Thank you so much. Okay, next I want to introduce Mustafa Adib. He is the engineer for PD Concrete. Mustafa, you want to tell us about yourself and what is PD Concrete doing these days?
Thank you. Yes, good afternoon, and thank you, Peggy, for having us here. My name is Mustafa Adib. I'm the project engineer with PD Concrete Specialist. We are specialized in concrete restoration, post-tension cable repairs, waterproofing, and exterior painting. We are operating from our two offices, one in West Palm Beach and one in Aventura. We've been in business for over 21 years, bonded and insured, and most importantly, we do everything in-house. We don't rely on subs. So I'll be happy to answer any question, or if you want me to be on your site to take a look at any of your buildings, I will leave my contact information in the Q&A box. And if you have any question, I'll be here for the long time of the webinar. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Welcome. Thank you, Mustafa. Okay, next I want to introduce Daniel Baum. He's the CEO and the founder of his insurance brokerage, HOA Solution of Florida. Daniel, how you doing today? Tell us about
I'm good, thanks, Peggy. Happy Monday, everyone. Thank you for having me. You've heard me, I'm sure, many times by now. My name is Daniel Baum. I am the founder of COA Solutions here in Florida. I like to say to people that what I specialize in is helping your community save money on insurance. We all need to have the right coverage in place, but coverage and premium pricing is not equal. You'll want to be out there shopping every year to see what alternatives are out there. The markets are constantly moving. They're constantly moving even right now. But you definitely want to make sure that whoever your rep is in the insurance space is out there looking for alternatives on a regular basis for you and finding savings. This year, we've seen a lot of reductions on the property side. Believe it or not, I even saw one community that was brought down by 57%. They didn't do anything differently. They didn't put new roofs on. They didn't improve the property. The carriers just decided that they were willing to accept a much lower rate this year and came down 57% on property. You'll all see it. I'm going to send out a win on it and share it with everyone because it was pretty amazing. But again, bottom line is make sure you know what you have for coverage. Make sure your agent is out there shopping. If you feel like you're not getting that service, please feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'd be more than happy to talk to you about it. Thank you to Vinteum for today. We're really looking forward to your presentation and wish you guys a great day and a great week.
Thanks, Daniel. That's awesome. Those are some pretty high number savings. I'm listening and I don't even need it. Okay, next we have Deneen Barnum. She is a vice president at First Citizens Bank. Deneen, welcome, and tell us about yourself and the bank. What are you doing? It's hurricane season. It's everything we need to know about banking.
Yeah, thank you, Peggy. And thank you everyone who's joined the webinar today. My name is Deneen Barham. I am the Regional Sales Officer in Community Association Banking, a division of First Citizens Bank. I cover the West Central Florida region. My counterpart is Jamie Gelfand. She is a Regional Sales Officer located in South Florida, and she's unable to be with us today. At First Citizens Bank, we are a top 20, 127-year-old company, and we stand out for commitment to excellence to our clients and communities. In our division, we specialize in partnering with property management companies, large self-managed associations, by offering essential services like a seamless API, association banking, and lockbox capabilities with a variety of software providers. We offer FDIC coverage for deposits exceeding $250,000 through our reserve specialist desk. And we tailor loans to community associations for crucial repairs, enhancements to ensure their sustainability and growth, much like Peggy was talking about hurricanes. What truly sets us apart is our emphasis on people, streamlining our processes, and cutting edge technology. So if there's anything that Jamie or I can assist you with, please reach out and I will put our information in the chat. Thank you, Peggy.
Great, that's awesome. Okay, thank you for being so prepared. Okay, next I want to introduce John McKeague. He's on today for Babaleka. John, tell us about yourself. What do you do for the team? And what is Faster IO doing?
Thank you very much, Peggy. Appreciate it. My name is John. I am not Bob. Bob is normally the person who does this, but he has some things on his plate today, so I'm filling in for him. I'm the account director for Faster.io, and we thank you again.
Excuse me 1 second. Excuse me.
Sure.
You want to mute Will? I think you're not on mute. Somebody's not on mute.
There might be some noise in my background. If that's
okay.
a problem, I'm sorry about that. We're in close quarters here.
Sorry, Will.
Yeah. Poor Will's getting blamed for my loud office. But so anyway, Faster.io, we provide high-speed internet and streaming TV services through providing fiber to the building directly to the units. The one thing we specialize is we do provide fiber all the way to the units. We do not stop and provide coax once we hit the building. We are fiber end to end. We own a data center here in Deerfield Beach, which is 150,000 square feet. Any board members would be more than welcome to come and visit our facility. We have board members here all the time. We have a very technologically advanced engineering team that specializes in providing fiber to buildings and communities. We do bring a couple of things that are different to the table that other providers don't. in that we provide battery backup on site. So in the event, we are coming up upon hurricane season. If there is a power outage or anything along those lines in your community, you will still have internet and TV through us. We have 4 backup truck-sized generators here at our facility in Deerfield Beach, and we provide our own fiber end to end. In some cases, it might require something different, but we'll always let you know where we are with that. We also have a product that does go through the air, and that is a fiber product as well. So we are unique in that fashion. Anyway, we'd love to speak with you. Thanks for the time. I've probably gone over, and I apologize, but thanks again, Peggy, and thank you everybody from Vinteum.
You're welcome, absolutely. And I do want to also mention, besides Bob Aleka, the contact point for their company, he will be on the sponsor sheet. John, I'll add you to the sponsor sheet. But also I want to mention Michael Zirin. He's the marketing vice president, and that team is awesome. We'll quickly respond, and it's a great new service to know about. Next, I want to introduce a new roofing company to me, Paul Baines Roofing. I have the Director of Commercial Sales on, Will Diaz. Will, tell us about yourself and the company.
Sure. Thank you, Peggy, for allowing me to be a sponsor. I'm Will Diaz, Commercial Director of Paul Baines Roofing. We've been in business for over 40 years. We average over about 3,000 roofs a year. We install just about everything: TPO, build up, torch systems, tile and shingle. I specialize in HOA work. What else? I'm here to help. If I could stop by a property, visit, meet with the board, anything like that, I'm all for it. I'll leave my number in the comment box, and anybody could feel free to reach out. We'd love to help you. Thank you.
Great, sounds good. And he will also be on the sponsor sheet that you will receive following the class. Okay, next I want to introduce, because she's not on, Dawn Miller. She is the Director of Business Development for the Paving Lady. Again, they offer outstanding service. All my sponsors are very professional and very active in the South Florida market and sometimes around the state. So she'll be on that list as well on the sponsor sheet. I also want to introduce Hafer Company. Hafer is a very accomplished CPA company, service around the state of Florida with 4 offices. Still a little bit busy with the run over from tax season, doing audits as well, and very resourceful. So I hope to have Nicole Johnson on. She is the partner and the operations manager for a class in the fall. And I also want to mention Mark Landez. He's very involved. He's an audit and a principal. So he does a lot of work for them with their offices all over the state. Lastly, I'll just mention I have a new website. It's Florida Condos Vendors for You. It's connecting my condos to our HOAs, also any association, to the vendors that have become longtime sponsors or might be an option for your bids that you might need to take when you need 2 or 3 bids at a time. So we'll go into now introducing Vinteum software.
Just 1 second. Sorry. Hi, I'm Ashley.
Oh, I'm sorry, Shelley. I mean,
I'm here on behalf of Shelley Rovner. She operates our East Coast division. I'm more on the West Coast of Florida. But I'm representing Munyon Painting today. So for those of you who don't know us, we're Florida's top choice painting contractor. So we handle all apartment, condo, HOA, commercial, residential, you name it, we can paint it. And that's exterior or interior. And we have been in business for over 74 years. So that's since 1951. And we do cover the whole state of Florida. So that's not limited to, but we do have offices in West Palm, Orlando, Clearwater, Naples, across the whole state. And we do have a client care center in our website that allows any of our clients to access live updates on their properties. So any photos, comments, questions, all the good stuff. So if you have any painting or general contracting needs, I'll go ahead and put my info in the chat, and I'll let Peggy take it away without further ado. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Ashley, I apologize. Sorry, you are on my agenda list.
You're good.
I just got carried away because the ones that don't show up put me out of line here. So, but anyway, thank you so much. It's good to know all that information. And Munyon has been a longtime sponsor. 74, goodness, that's older than me. So that's awesome. Thank you so much. And with that, I will go now into the introduction of Vinteum software. First, I want to say thank you to the entire team. Today we have Amanda Janot on. We have Julia Alves, and we have Katie, who's going to do a presentation for us. I cannot thank you guys enough. They're awesome service in South Florida, and you need to take a look at them if you need a website. With that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Katie.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that introduction, Peggy. I am looking forward to the presentation today. Just wanted to introduce myself. As Peggy mentioned, I am Katie. I am the National Sales Representative for Vinteum. I do also have my colleague on, Amanda, today, so she will be moderating for us. As Peggy mentioned, if you have any questions, please pop them in the Q&A. Amanda will be keeping an eye on that and letting me know when we have questions coming up throughout the presentation. We'll also do a bigger Q&A at the end as well. So
hi everyone, just to say hello. So I'm Amanda. I'm the head of marketing at Vinteum, and we're very excited about doing this webinar. And please share your questions, your doubts alongside the chat, that I will check them out. And we're probably gonna pause to explain a little bit. Also gonna have a Q&A session, as Katie mentioned at the end. But please feel free to share as the presentation starts any questions or comments that you feel like it. Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Amanda. Well, today I am excited to talk to everyone about the future of HOA management. So, with changing laws, changing resident expectations, and changing technology, pen and paper associations are no longer cutting it. So today we're going to be talking you through how you can make your association digital in as little as 4 weeks. So really doesn't need to take a lot of time for this process. And I'll also be showing you some examples of our platform, Neigbrs. So Neigbrs is a tool specifically for HOAs and condo associations that is designed to streamline operations. So keep in mind that we'll be talking through some demos of that, and we do have a special offer for you as a thank you for attending the webinar. So make sure to stick around till the end to get that special offer. But with that being said, we'll talk through our agenda today. So some of the topics that we're going to be covering here, first off, we're going to start with why you should be going digital. What's the urgency here? Why should this be a priority for you? Then we'll talk through some real life case studies. So real life clients, real life community associations that have been able to leverage digital platforms to show positive change within their association. We'll also talk through the benefits of being a digital HOA. So what are you going to receive as a board member, as a resident, as a CAM or a property manager? How does that benefit you? Then we'll take you through step-by-step for your 4-week digital transformation plan. And finally, how to overcome common challenges. So if you are receiving pushback from anyone within your association, we'll talk you through how to tackle those challenges. And then again, as I mentioned, we'll get into our final thoughts and that special offer that I mentioned for you. So with that being said, let's talk about the urgency of going digital. So why should this be a top priority for you as a board member or as a property manager? And how does this specifically impact HOAs and condo associations? So first off, there are daily, monthly advancements within the community association software realm here. So I know here at Neighbors, we do release new functionality at least once per quarter, as well as continuing to improve our existing functionality. So we really try to stay at the forefront of innovation within the field. And digital transformation is no longer optional. It is required not only by law now, but also required by resident expectations. We have seen across our communities that utilize Neighbors a 40% time reduction in how long it takes to resolve resident requests, over 80% of residents opening and interacting with emails, and major decreases in general resident complaints. So it's really improving the relationship between the residents and the board, in addition to helping streamline those operations. So now we have a quick poll for you here. I wanted to learn a little bit about your association. So those of you in the audience today, will send you out a quick poll here, and that's going to be focusing on whether or not you still rely on pen and paper methodology for your community association. So we'll go ahead and give everyone a minute or two to answer here. right, we've got some answers rolling in. Love to see it. Thanks everyone for your participation. All right, as we get closer to everyone participating here, looks like we do have a pretty good mixture of yes and no. So that is awesome to hear that some of you do already have some technology integrated into your associations. But it looks like we do have the majority that are saying that yes, they are still relying on pen and paper based processes. So that is something that's very common. It is something that I hear frequently when I speak with board members. So don't worry if that's how your association is. There is room for improvement, but let's talk about some of the reasons that a pen and paper based association may not be the best approach here. So pen and paper associations does require a slowdown in operations and efficiency. Your board members and your CAMs are already spread very, very thin, so adding in additional time-consuming manual processes really is a big time suck. And it also increases the possibility of human error. So when you have individuals, you are much more likely to misenter or miss information here. And that not only is an issue when it comes to general organization within your association, but it can also create compliance risks. So record keeping is a very important aspect of being a board member or a CAM. And paper-based systems actually can't meet certain legal requirements. So as Peggy mentioned, in the state of Florida, if you have 25 or more units, you are required to have some sort of digital platform, some sort of web presence for your association. So keep in mind here that not only is it just a good practice, but it is actually a requirement here. And modern resident expectations are changing. Think about all of the different apps and instant communication that we have access to nowadays. Residents do expect that level of instant access to information when it comes to their HOA or condo. So residents do have a demand for real-time status updates on any of their requests, visibility into any upcoming events or any amenities that they want to reserve, and omni-channel proactive communication. So you should have a plan to communicate through multiple different channels. That way you can reach each resident on their preferred method. And you also need to encourage transparency. So residents should have easy access to records. They should be able to view things like meeting minutes, even Zoom recordings if that's possible for your association. So as much transparency as possible really is that level of expectation here. And I'll pop us over into our Neighbors portal just to show you how residents are able to stay involved when they're utilizing Neighbors. So within the resident dashboard of Neighbors, this is kind of a one-stop shop here for all of the recent activity on their platform. They're going to see any recent announcements from the board, any activity from their neighbors on the social network. They'll also be able to follow all of their requests through step by step through the process, be reminded of any upcoming reservations, as well as any upcoming events that they should be aware of. So this really allows residents to stay involved in all of the different aspects of the association and have access to those real-time updates. I also wanted to show you our document repository. So in the vein of transparency here, residents should always have access not only to the things that are required by law, like your bylaws and your covenants, but as much possible information as you can share with them. So keep in mind that within our document repository, residents are easily going to be able to track down that information. And now, with that being said here, we'll kind of recap why your HOA and condo must go digital. So again, what are those driving forces? Where does that urgency come from here? So first off, from an operational standpoint, you are going to be able to not only improve the timeline, but also enhance efficiency within your association. You can also use that time that you're saving to focus on strategic initiatives so you can actually create that positive change within your association. And you are going to have improved compliance, so you will be able to comply with all of the laws for your specific state, as well as to have that peace of mind in terms of database security. And you're also going to be able to boost resident engagement. So one of the most important pieces of living in a community association is that sense of participation and connection with your neighbors. So a digital platform is really going to bring that sense of connectedness here. And I see that Amanda's raising her hand, so it looks like we have some questions here, Amanda.
Yes, actually, it's more comment than a question that I totally agree on with Gene Brenner. Email gets, he said, do you consider email pen and paper? I do. And we totally do it, consider as well, because it's very impersonal. You get lost among all of the things that we receive since newsletters, offers, promotions, bills to pay. I mean, we get loads and loads of email every day, and it's very impersonal as well. So the main point of having tools such as Neighbors is because we do have the option for a website or an app on your phone, and everything that's really more personal, a more community mindset of really helping each other and very focused. So everything that you need, as you just showed before on the last slide, Katie, you can do it centralized in one place. So you can really have this community status and this exchange among all the neighbors, right?
Absolutely. I think that's a great point, Amanda. And I think the other aspect there as well is just how much time it takes to send manual emails versus utilizing a digital platform. I think when you're utilizing a digital platform, it's a couple clicks and you are able to send that omni-channel blast. So the residents who want to check it via email can check it there. Or as Amanda mentioned, they can access it through their app, through text message, even phone calling if you're utilizing Neighbors here. So really just keep in mind that it's about the convenience. When you are manually sending out emails, that's a lot more time consuming than just one big blast with a couple of clicks. So I think that's a great distinction there, Amanda. Thanks for bringing that up. But with that being said here, let's go ahead and talk through a real life example. So this is going to be a real story that happened with one of our clients. And we'll talk through how they were able to leverage their digital platform to create positive change within their association. So first off here, we're going to go ahead and set the scene. So imagine that you are at home and you just saw a man trying to break into your neighbor's house. He ran off before anyone could catch him, so now you know that there is a burglar at large within your community association. That can be definitely a safety issue, and you need to be able to get the word out. So we'll send out another poll here. If this was happening within your community association, what would you do? What would be the method that you would rely on with the tools that you have available currently to let residents know what's happening? So I'll give everyone a few minutes to get their answers in here. See some answers already rolling in. Thank you again so much for your participation. So as I see answers rolling in here, it looks like the most popular answer so far is to send a mass email to all of the residents or a mass text message. I think those are great tools and great options to utilize, especially when you don't have a centralized way to communicate. But keep in mind that when you have a digital platform, again, this kind of comes back to what Amanda and I were just touching on. If you are having to send that email or send that text message manually, that is going to take a lot more time than if you were able to do it all in one step. So actually what this community did to approach this situation is they were actually able to utilize notices, which go ahead, Amanda, it looks like you want to jump in here.
Yeah, just to add to the points that we already talked about it, imagine breaking in your neighbor's house. If people only open 30% of their emails, as Jean mentioned, and the time frame that we need to call the police, to let everybody know, so everybody feel safe and being alert, and also understand that it's been taken care of, you can do this immediately, like, right? So it's very on time, live, and on email many times you're only gonna know about this, or that might be happening right side of your door, like on the next day or two. So regarding security wise, it's also very important to have such a special tool, such as centralized and all in one shop tool, as you mentioned, right?
Exactly, Amanda. I think that yes, having the ability to communicate on those omni-channel ability or omni-channel channels there allows residents to check in however they prefer to receive information. So whether that's a text message or a phone call that's a little bit more immediate, whether it's something that they're checking on their app or through their email, you can actually cover all of those different channels. That way you can rest assured that residents are seeing that information. And that's actually exactly what this community did. They sent out an omni-channel notice about the attempted break-in, and they didn't just stop there. So she sent out that initial situation with all of the details that she had available at the time. And then she was actually able to follow that situation all the way through until it was resolved and that intruder had actually been arrested. So she was able to provide clear, concise updates. She was able to help avoid panic within the association by letting residents know all of the information that she had available. And that really is an example of the proactive communication that is possible when you have a digital format here. So I'll go ahead and show you another tool within Neighbors. And this is how you as a board member can easily send out any type of notice, especially in an urgent scenario like this case. So we'll select our notices tool here, and this will allow us to generate a new message to your residents. You can include the title and the body of your message here. So again, if there was an attempted break-in, you can go ahead and let residents know about that immediately. You can also narrow down based on specific location in the association. So if only one area needs to know about that break-in, you can narrow it down there as well. And keep in mind that residents are going to receive this in multiple different channels. So they'll receive it via email, via text, through their app, and they'll also be able to access it on their Neighbors platform. So again, you can rest assured that any of this important information is easily received by your residents and that you can proactively communicate all the way until the situation is resolved. Now, let's go ahead and talk through why this situation matters. So why is this an example that I chose to share with you today? Well, first off, it provided a great example of how a digital platform can provide faster communication. So especially in an urgent case scenario when there is a safety concern for your residents, you can send that information out immediately. And again, exactly like Amanda and I were touching on here, it's really going to make you save time in terms of...
Katie, just a sec. Peggy wants to
Oh yeah, go ahead, Peggy.
talk.
I could have waited, goodness.
No,
Now
please.
going back to the previous slide. Okay, so let's say we get your website and we want to implement that emergency.
If you want to come back to the previous slide, Katie,
Yes.
please. Thank you.
So this notification. Now, would you be able to put on a Zoom for the board or the residents in addition to just a training thing, like how to set this up and how to put this into place?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we do have some videos that are kind of how to for generating notices and sending out those messages. And we do also provide not only free demos. So before you even make a commitment to Neighbors, we'll walk you through all of these tools, but we do also provide in-depth training sessions. So all of your board members, as well as your CAMs and property managers, will receive one-on-one training from our team.
Okay,
You'll know
that's
exactly
what I
how to
mean.
approach this. Yeah, great question, Peggy.
Gotcha. Sorry. Okay. Thanks.
No, no worries. No worries. Thanks for hopping in. Awesome. Well, as I was mentioning here, really some of the reasons that this tool or that this example matters here and why it's relevant for you is, again, faster communication. So when something urgent is happening, it only takes a few seconds to generate that message and get that sent out to your residents. And again, because it is omni-channel, they're going to receive it in multiple different channels, and it really increases the odds that they're going to stay in the loop here. And it also allows you to provide clear incident updates. So again, Nancy didn't stop by sending out just the initial notification of the break-in. She was actually able to update residents step by step with all of the most topical information that she had. That way she avoided panic and that rumor mill that can happen. And as we saw within the platform, this is also going to provide easy access to documents. So that's really important, not only from a compliance standpoint, if you are in the state of Florida, that is now actually required by law, but it's also important from that sense of transparency. Residents should easily be able to access records and answer their own questions. That's also going to save a lot of administrative time here because you, as the board members and the property managers, don't have to be the middleman anymore for those documents. And overall, digital tools essentially shift you from being reactive, so waiting for things to happen and reacting based on those pieces, but they actually allow you to be proactive and start problem solving before those issues arise. So it looks like we might have another question here, Amanda.
Yes, we do, Katie. So Dolores Facey just asked, if an association already has a website, are you able to integrate with their website?
Great question. So we
It's a
are
great question, sure.
Yeah. So if you have an existing public facing website that you like, we are able to link that to your backend Neighbors portal. We can also help you transfer any information over to our public facing website as well. So really either way that you would like to approach it, our onboarding team is great in terms of really finding the most efficient way to get all of the information that you would want available on your platform. So the short answer is yes, if you have an existing website, we can integrate that into Neighbors. Perfect. And then we'll keep moving on here to talk about the benefits of digital transformation. So how is this going to help you and your association? First off, you see that we have enhanced multi-channel communication. So again, this is going to allow you to communicate with your residents in their preferred method. You may have some folks that are all about their phones. They're going to be checking text messages and apps most likely. You may have other residents that are a little bit more disengaged and may prefer things like emails or direct phone calls here. So this is going to allow you to communicate in all of those different channels. It's also going to streamline your record keeping. So you're going to have logs of all resident activity on the platform. You're going to be able to easily store all requests, reservations, and events. You can also bring in financial management. So this really can be a one-stop shop for all of the different aspects that go into managing an association. You don't have to have multiple different subscriptions here. You can roll it all into one. And keep in mind that you can have custom community portals as well. So you can really pick and choose the features that are the best fit for your association and really utilize the platform in a way that's going to be the most efficient. And finally, all of the time savings that you're going to get from that digital transformation will allow you to focus on strategic priorities. So how can you better manage tasks within your board? How can you better improve efficiency within your association? Once you have a little bit more free time from those manual tasks, you can start those initiatives. Now we'll talk you through our 30-day roadmap. So a 4-week roadmap to digital transformation and what you need to be thinking about week by week here. So step 1, week 1 here, the very first thing you need to do is evaluate your current processes. So how are you currently doing things like communicating with residents? How are you sharing documents and important pieces of information that, again, in some states is now required by law? How are you hosting things like online meetings and votes? How do you manage your financials and your due collection? All of those are very important pieces to identify. And once you have identified those processes, it's going to be really clear where some pain points lie. So maybe you have a long timeline in terms of resolving resident requests. Maybe you have issues collecting votes because you don't have an online option for voting. So this is really going to allow you to set your priorities and what your must-haves are in terms of functionality for your software. From there, you should go ahead and involve key stakeholders. So as you know, within a board, everything does usually require majority board approval. So you at least need to get buy-in from board members, but ideally you want anyone who is going to be involved in the software to have an opinion here. So any of your administrators, any committee members, any property managers or CAMs that you work with here, you really want to make sure that they have a good understanding of the platform and that they're going to be able to do all of their tasks on that platform. And from there, you're going to want to build a resident contact list. So that is the most important piece of information when you are digitizing, is getting all of that contact information and even things like emergency contact info for your residents. So start compiling that information early. That way you're ready to hit the ground running as soon as it's time. Now, week 2, this is going to be the week to do your research. So start exploring management platforms and other alternative tools. There's a lot out there on the market, and there's a lot of variation in terms of functionality. So do your research based on that objective list that you set last week. Make sure that this is going to be compatible with all of those must-have functionality for you. And from there, check compliance and security. Again, as we've mentioned several times here, especially if you are in Florida, but it does vary state by state here, make sure that these tools are totally compliant with the requirements from your state. Even bring in a local attorney that you work with to have them look it over and just make sure that you are going to be covered legally. And also ask about data security. That can be a very important aspect here. So, for example, with Neighbors, we are hosted on AWS, which is entirely encrypted, and it is actually the most secure cloud platform on the market. But make sure that whoever you're having discussions with is able to answer those questions. Make sure that they do have a good plan for data security, because this is important stuff here. And finally, crowdsource, read reviews available online. You want to make sure that folks who actually have experience utilizing these platforms have had a good experience and have positive feedback. Ask your peers within community associations. You probably have a lot of other connections to board members from other associations. So ask them how they approach communication, what their website looks like, and also book demos. Demos are a great way to really explore the platform in more depth. Get any questions that you have answered before you make any type of commitment. So with Neighbors, we do offer free personalized demos. I'm always happy to get connected for those. But again, I think it's a great opportunity to really do a deep dive into some software options here. And then once you've decided on the best fit here, you're going to want to start migrating your records. So start organizing all of your files. I know sometimes there are different files that start living on personal devices. So start consolidating those and tracking that information down. That way you have one consistent database here. And then you can move into setting up clear communication channels and building your newsletter. So communication is probably the biggest pain point that I hear when I talk with community associations, but it really is the core of a healthy community. So within these communication channels, you should be understanding who is in charge of what types of information, be communicating to residents how they can expect to hear from the board, and also build that newsletter out so that residents are involved and up to date with what's going on within the association. And finally, organize all of your digital documents and create a backup. I always recommend having a backup location stored just to be safe versus sorry here. And finally, week 4 of your 4-week transformation. This is going to be your rollout week. So first off, you should be able have a plan for training the
Hi,
board.
Katie.
Oh, go ahead, Amanda.
Sure. We have 2 very good questions from Julia. One of them is, I have one resident that will never be on board with the internet or a smartphone. Can manual communication still be used on an individual basis?
Great question. So absolutely, you can use manual communication as much as necessary. So keep in mind that this really can be a mixture with any pen and paper methods that you're already utilizing. And keep in mind as well that once we have contact information for that resident, so if we do have a phone number, even a landline, we can reach through our smart calling feature. And even emails, even if they never log into Neighbors, they are still able to receive that communication. So they can receive text messages, phone calls, as I mentioned, even on a landline, or even emails. So even if they aren't active on the platform, we do still have ways to reach those residents.
That's awesome. That's a very good option as well for those who are not so internet savvy, right?
Absolutely.
And another very good question from Julia is, do our governing documents have to be updated to adopt this method of communication?
Great question. So that depends on what your existing governing documents say. If there is any kind of limitation within your governing docs about going digital, that is something that you may need to address. I would talk that through with your local attorney just to make sure that you have a good understanding of where your bylaws currently are and if they do need to be updated. I would say typically, unless there is something that actively prevents you from going digital, it shouldn't be a concern, but I always recommend asking for legal advice whenever you have concerns there.
Awesome. Great. Thank you for answering those, Katie.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you everyone for your questions. Those are very topical and very relevant here, so I appreciate the engagement. But as I mentioned here, for the final week of kind of your rollout here, so at this point, you have made a decision on the software platform, you've organized all of your information so that you are ready to hit the ground running. The next step should be to train the board and educate your residents. So you should have a plan not only for how your administrators, those board members, those CAMs and property managers will utilize the platform, but also have a plan for how you're going to educate your residents and help with that transition. So for example, here at Neighbors, we provide not only one-on-one training for administrators, but also resident training sessions. We have an entire help desk of different videos and how-to articles. So keep in mind here that these are questions you should be asking when you're setting up these softwares. How can you train the board and how can you share that information with residents? Then you can prepare for both your soft and official launch. So I always recommend a soft launch for at least a few days before you have all of your residents on the platform. That way a smaller group can test the information that you have uploaded and start testing those communication channels. Once you've gone through those tests and everything looks good, you're ready for your official launch. So send out that invitation to residents, start utilizing those communication channels, and get everyone involved. It looks like we have another question here, Amanda.
Yes, we do. So Erica is asking, does the platform allow for tracking historical maintenance work that would extend beyond the owner? For example, a building being painted or new roof installation.
Great question. So absolutely, you can store that information either about communal spaces. So within our asset management tool, we have the option to store different pieces like elevator maintenance, roof maintenance, any of those pieces. And we also have historical unit data. So if there is any type of architectural change that is made to a unit and that owner changes, you are still going to have a log of all of those previous changes that have happened. So great question.
Thanks, Katie.
Of course.
Just another thing, we will send the presentation for everybody who asked. We'll send an email with the presentation, so don't worry about it, okay? And you can also please get in touch with us for any questions or doubts that might come along after after this done or after you read the presentation with calm. Just how many, Jeff asked how many installs do you do per year? Average HOA size?
So I would say, we are bringing on new communities really daily. So it's kind of hard to give
Yeah.
an average in terms of total clients that we're bringing on. But we do have, I believe, over 25,000 communities under our management. So really high level of usage here. And about 40% of our business is concentrated in Florida. I always say you guys are kind of the mecca of HOAs and condo associations. So we really do follow particularly the Florida legislation very, very closely here, just to make sure that it's usable and compliant for all of those communities.
Sure. And just to complement, we also are all over the US, not only in Florida, but you are our largest group, let's put it like that. And we are in Canada, Mexico, and regarding the average size, we can adapt to all sizes, right? It depends. It doesn't matter if you have like 100 houses or 1,000.
Exactly.
Right,
Yeah,
Katie?
I think our largest client has about 9,000 units and our smallest has about 4. So we really run the whole gamut here. Whatever size you are, we can work with you, I promise. So great question. And then basically the last step here, once you've done your official launch, keep in mind that these platforms are meant to be a living and breathing system. So they are meant to always be dynamic. So you should be collecting feedback from your residents and tweaking based on that feedback. So if there are ways to improve communication or efficiency, even once you've gone digital, keep in mind that you should always be open for any of those changes. So be a little bit flexible here. And now, I know that sometimes when you do speak with residents about a major change within the association, you can encounter some challenges here. So we'll send out a poll here. I'm curious, what has been the holdup in terms of the communities that haven't moved away from pen and paper? Why is that? What are some of those challenges that you're seeing when you have those conversations with your fellow board members, with your residents? So we'll send that poll out here and start collecting some of those feedbacks here. Give everyone a minute or two to get their responses in. We're getting a nice range of answers here.
Can everybody see those questions or answers, or you want to read them out, or?
Yeah, so it looks like right now the one that is kind of the top answer here is fear of resistance from residents or board members. And it looks like the secondary one here is concern about cost as well as uncertainty about data security and privacy. So those are all very valid concerns. And again, I speak with board members daily, so I am aware that a lot of these are, concerns not only from your residents, but also from you as board members. So chatting through again, kind of those top answers that I'm hearing from the crowd here really do match what I have on the screen. So first off, resistance to change. I know that there may be concern about residents that don't want to change the status quo. A lot of times people get comfortable with the way things are and they don't want to see or experience any type of change. So I think the biggest thing is to communicate with these folks that there is going to be a big improvement on their end as well. So you as board members are going to be able to respond to their requests faster. They're going to have easier access to documentation and transparency from the board. So really just focus on, although there might be a learning curve here, there is going to be a lot of positive change that they're seeing as well. Change doesn't have to be a bad thing. Now, probably the secondary poll result here was data security concerns, which again is totally understandable. We have probably all had to deal with phishing, hacking, scams going on left and right here. So data breach is totally a valid concern. So again, make sure that you as a board member are asking those questions when you're doing your research into software platforms. You should be able to comfortably answer your residents of how your security is protected, where it's stored, whether or not it is encrypted. So again, keep in mind that within Neighbors, we are stored on AWS, which is the most secure cloud market on the platform, but you should be able to answer those concerns for your residents and rest assured that your data is safe. And I totally understand as well that training gaps can be a major concern, especially like Amanda was mentioning, that there may not be folks that are as comfortable with technology. So keep in mind that, again, this is something that you should be asking about when you are researching software platforms, is how do you plan to train your residents? Is there a way for them to experience direct resident training? If not, do they have access to any type of resource here? So again, with Neighbors, we provide not only live resident training sessions, but we also have a whole help desk of short videos and articles for different how-tos. So make sure that you do have that information that's accessible and available to your residents. That's going to be the easiest way to manage that transition. And finally, budget constraints are a concern as well. I know that most residents get a little bit of sticker shock and typically don't want to sign up for additional costs here. But I think the biggest portion is really just to explain that cost benefit analysis. Again, explain that not only is it something that is going to improve operations, it's going to help you stay compliant legally, as well as improve the relationship in terms of transparency between residents and board members. So really just explain the why of making this leap here. Why is this a worthy investment for the association? And with that being said here, let's talk about how to build a resilient community. So what are the 3 pillars of healthy, strong community associations? First off, connectedness. Being digital allows residents to stay in the loop and it fosters stronger relationships within the association. So residents are able to communicate more freely. They're able to stay in the loop in terms of collaborative decision making and accessing records from the board members. And they're also going to be able to stay in touch even when they're remote. So I know in Florida, you may have some folks that are snowbirds and spends part of the year elsewhere. With a digital platform, they're going to be able to stay in the loop even when they're not physically at the association. Transparency is also a huge pillar here. I know that that is a big issue when it comes to board members and having that trust in their community association. So giving residents access to all of that information, easy access to documents, ability to join Zoom meetings, to watch those board meetings, and the ability to even watch back Zoom recordings of those board meetings. So really do everything that you can to show your work as a board member and keep residents in the loop. And Amanda, it looks like we have another quick question here.
Sure. We have a couple of questions coming up, and thank you so much again for sharing your questions and thoughts. It's very important for us, and your engagement is amazing. But regarding transparency, so we have a question here. I'm a little worried about the data security. How can we be sure that the tools we choose are really safe for residents' information? That's a very good question.
That is a great question. So I think the biggest thing is first off, understanding where and how it's stored. So as I mentioned with Neighbors, we do AWS, so that is entirely encrypted. We have never had a data breach issue, but ask those questions. If they don't store it on AWS, where are they storing it? Is there a level of encryption? Is there multi-factor authentication when they're logging in? So ask those questions and make sure that the person that you're speaking with is able to give you confident, solid answers on that. And you can even ask for a privacy policy. Make sure that your information isn't being sold to third-party vendors. With Neighbors, it is entirely private. We can share our privacy policy, but we will never share your information with any third parties. So that's a really important question there as well, is making sure that you have all of that transparency with the platform that you're speaking with. Where are they storing your data? How is it protected? And make sure that they are keeping that data secure as well on their end. So great
That's
question.
great, Katie. Thank you so much for clarifying. And just to make everybody comfortable, we are going to have a Q&A session just after the presentation. So the questions that we are not addressing right now, we're going to answer just at the end of this PPT, okay? And Peggy, do you want to share something now? Go ahead.
Yes, and this might sound like a dumb question, but is this also connected or available through, you know, how you can talk to Siri and you can say, you know, locate the file, you know, whatever you're looking for?
Great question. So through the app, you should be able to communicate with Siri to pull that information. And there is a keyword search function on the app as well. So if you're ever in a big hurry or you're unsure of where a piece of information lives, keep in mind that you can use that keyword search function to pull up things like documents, events, contact information. So anything you need there is really accessible and easy to find. Great question, Peggy. And the last piece here in terms of a resilient community is proactive leadership. So this is something I touched on a little bit earlier in the presentation, but a lot of boards kind of fall into this reactive problem solving where they're waiting for the problem to arise before they're able to take action. With a digital platform, you are going to be able to be much more proactive. So you can send out communication to your residents before you're receiving questions. You can provide them access into documents and pieces of information so that you don't have to go digging for that information. So keep in mind that that proactive leadership is probably the most important piece when it comes to building a strong community association. And we can talk specifically now about Neighbors and how Neighbors can make a difference within your community. So first off, as I've mentioned here, we do have the ability for omni-channel communication. So we actually have 5 dedicated channels of communication that you can utilize to communicate with your residents. So again, keep in mind that no matter which style of communication your residents are going to respond to, you can have that covered with Neighbors. And you can also keep everyone happy. So we do have an overall 97% satisfaction rate amongst our clients year over year. So definitely something that we like to highlight here. And we have seen a 30% decrease in overall resident complaints. So keep in mind that this is really something that is not only helping streamline operations, but you're actually really starting to see resident opinion of board members improve here. And that relationship is getting a lot better when you do have that digital platform. And you're going to have streamlined operations, so you can integrate all aspects of your community management into a one-stop shop with Neighbors. So whether you want to utilize Neighbors for communication, document storage, amenity management, financial management, all of those aspects can be rolled into one. And keep in mind that that is totally customizable. So you can pick and choose the level of functionality that you want. You can choose exactly which features. You can adjust specific levels of access for the association. So lots of different ways that you can customize for your individual community here. And with that being said, as I was mentioning, our special offer with Neighbors here, didn't want to dangle the carrot for too long. So I'll go ahead and let you know about our special offer. So as a thank you for anyone attending this webinar today, we are offering 2 months free of Neighbors with either our annual or biennial subscription. So keep in mind that this is a great opportunity for a discount, especially if you do have concerns about budget constraints. It's a great opportunity to access this special offer. So please reach out for me for a live demo. I would love to get connected with you, answer any questions you may have about Neighbors, and walk through some live use cases for your association. So please, please feel free to reach out. I am here as a resource. And with that being said, I know, Amanda, you mentioned that there were a few other questions that were rolling in, so I'll go ahead and open up the floor for our general questions.
Great, Katie. Let's do it like while may people still be writing their questions on the chat. Let me go first with the questions sent in the pool. So David asked, as a board member, would I be able to get anything I need, including current member roster, which should include consented email address? Could you add a front page screen in your system showing all how to use?
Absolutely, absolutely. So for both of those, the short answer is yes. As a board member, you will have access to all resident contact information, all unit information, any activity. So any requests that have been submitted by residents, you will have visibility to as a board member. And in terms of sharing training videos and how-to information, absolutely. We can share those recordings with residents. So even if they can't make it live to the resident training, we have those resources that we can share. And we do also have short how-to videos as well as articles for each feature within Neighbors. So essentially we can provide all of that information and we can pop it right in your home screen if you would like to.
That's great. That's awesome. Another thing is we have like two questions that are the same from John and Iris. Is the cost of implementing our system based on size of the community?
Great question. So that is how we do our pricing. It is based on the total number of units. So essentially we charge by the unit per month. So happy to go over individual pricing for your community association. And keep in mind that with that 2-month discount, you are going to see some nice savings there.
Great. That's great to know. Another thing that we have regarding a comment from Julia. I have one resident. I guess we already answered those, but we can get a little bit more on detail. We answer something similar. I have one resident that does not have internet access or smartphone and will never be on board. Can you are manually hard copied and upload the documents? So we already mentioned about that, right, Katie? Regarding not only individual documents, but also governing documents that we can also update them manually on the platform as well, right?
Exactly. So we can provide both digital and physical copies of those. So really just up to the board to kind of make sure that those are up to date. And even if they never join and they don't have a way to communicate through email, through text message, we do still have our smart calling tool. So keep in mind that as long as they have a landline, you are still able to communicate with them through the platform here. And it looks like you had a question as well, Peggy.
Yes.
I don't have a question. I have a comment just to say that any resident can go to the office if they don't have a computer and request in writing from the manager to provide this. And you need to give them, I believe it's 7 days to provide those documents. So if they're not on the website and you can't access it from the website, or maybe the office admin would help or provide that if it's allowed by the office CAM to download and provide you that copy. So
oh, that's great. Thank you, Peggy, for sharing this information.
That's an inner office type thing for each board and resident. So
great.
You would not want to provide those probably legally unless it was approved that they were the correct updated copy, which is noted by the attorneys on, I don't know if it's every year, but it should be almost every year, that all the documents are current, the rules and regulations are current, because you don't just get the original documents or the updated, you get the entire package, rules, regulations, minutes, and so on. So that would be pretty cumbersome for you guys to provide. So you guys just get it on the website. The office can help the resident without the internet. So,
Exactly. Yeah. Great clarification, Peggy. I think that's a good important piece that I always like to say, Neighbors is fully compliant, but that does still require action from you as a board member. You have to make sure that that documentation is up to date so that when it's stored on the website, it is compliant there. So great clarification point, Peggy.
Great. Thank you, Peggy. Another question is, our current management website has a board restricted area for invoices, delinquencies, violations, etc. Does Neighbors have similar capabilities?
Great question. So yes, we do. You can essentially
Just to add up to this question, Katie, because I think you can also reply this other one together. Can you create 2 email blast lists, one for residents and one only for owners? So just these different views that we are able to have using on Neighbors, right? For different stakeholders, such as properties, property managers, board members, etc.
Exactly. So essentially, we can have each feature that can be customized based on really customizable levels of access. So you can create different spaces that are only accessible for board members or for different committee members. And exactly like Amanda mentioned as well, when you are generating, for example, email lists, you can narrow that down based on lots of different parameters. So based on group membership, whether someone is a board member or a committee member, you can narrow it down based on location within the association, and you can also differentiate between owners versus tenants. So keep in mind that you have all of those different levels of access as well as how you're communicating with residents.
Great. Also, we have another, so just to clarify, Chris, so the platform is called Vinteum, our Neighbors. So our company is called Vinteum, and the platform is called Neighbors by Vinteum. So the platform itself has a different name, but it's all from Vinteum, which is our company's name. Okay, thank you for asking that. We do get those. We are trying to adjust both their names so it doesn't get confusing anymore, but that's a very good question. Let's see right there, another one. Just 1 second. So Julia, I'll get to your question. Just before that, there was a comment regarding electronic voting and electronic. So my association had to adopt a resolution to allow opt-in for electronic notice. Electronic voting was included in the same resolution and adopted at the same time. So that's something that we are just currently launched, right, Katie? Can you talk a little bit more?
Yeah, great question, Amanda. So we do have e-voting functionality on the platform. As Amanda mentioned, it is a brand new tool at the beginning of 2025. It was introduced. So we have already had lots of clients that have had their official board elections supported by that tool. So keep in mind that our voting tool not only supports your informal surveys and polls, but it does actually support your official electronic votes, any sort of quorum votes that you need. So it does have that dual functionality, and it is totally compliant with the parameters for all 50 states.
Great. Peggy?
yes, I just wanted to get clarification. I have a quick text message into an attorney. If she's available, she'll respond. But going back to the delinquent residents, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that you cannot get a list of the delinquent residents. You can get the dollar amount in total that the community is waiting to get paid on, but I don't think you can ostracize a resident so that is complete harmony with the community or the association. So if she responds, I will get back to you, but I don't think that that's public information.
Yes. Within our financial management tool, typically that would only be available to property managers or board members. It would not be something that's publicly available for residents. Great clarification, Peggy.
Great. Thank you so much, Peggy. And we have actually 3 more questions. And let's see. So Julia is saying, my major issue with communication is my property management company. As an example, the violation ARC and late notices are always late, and I constantly have to remind them to process these items on time. Can this issue be addressed with your platform?
Absolutely. So I think that is one of the major advantages of a digital platform is it really provides transparency not only from residents into board members, but from board members into property managers as well. So you as board members will have visibility into every request. So whether it's architectural review, whether it's an incident report, any of those different aspects, you will have visibility into that entire process. So you can actually see the log of activity. If there is residents that are waiting for action from the property manager, you're going to be aware of that and you can step in as a board member. So I really do think a digital platform helps improve that flow when it comes to property managers versus board members.
That's great, Katie. Thank you for clarifying that, Julia. I hope that we were able to explain to you a little bit, but we also can get in touch with you and schedule a call to understand better your necessities. And I'll see how we can work this out through Neighbors, okay? Thank you. And on the same note of this question, do you want to add anything, Peggy, and Mustafa as well?
I just wanted to ask you if, oh, my question is escaping me. Oh, come back to me. I'm lost my train of thought.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. You can come back. Mustafa?
Yes, I have a question. I get asked from a job that I'm doing now as a concrete restoration. It's a pretty big job. It's involved like about 350 units. So my question is, can the contractors have an temporary access to the ticketing system that we can do the punch list upon?
Great question. So that is something that we can do within Neighbors is we can create additional external staff profiles. So those can be temporary access, like you mentioned, Mustafa, or they can be long-term access if you have someone like a consistent maintenance person. So we are able to add in those vendors. That way they are able to directly receive those requests and take action within the platform. So great question.
Amazing. Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So let's see here. Any guidance on how to bring in an existing property management company with their own very lacking process and web platform onto a new platform? So I believe you have this question quite a lot, right, Katie, during our demos and commercial process. Go ahead, please answer those.
Absolutely. So I would say amongst our clients, we do have a pretty equal mix between self-managed associations and associations that are working with property managers. And really what I like to remind you is first off, your property manager works for you as the association. So if you aren't satisfied with the way that things are running within the association, it is your right to implement a new solution. And again, that property manager, they are working for you, so they will need to adapt if that's just the decision that you make. With that being said, I think it's always better to have buy-in and make that a positive experience. So keep in mind that we do provide one-on-one training, not only for board members, but also for your property managers and your CAMs. We're not just going to throw them into the deep end. We are going to make sure that they have everything that they need to do those day-to-day management tasks here. And keep in mind that, there is going to be a value add on their end as well. They're going to save a lot of administrative time versus doing all of those manual communication pieces, manually handing requests from residents, manually doing finances. They're actually going to be able to streamline all of those processes. So it's really going to be a positive cost benefit analysis for them in addition to the association as well. I think you're muted, Amanda.
Sorry. Awesome. Thanks for explaining, Katie. Peggy, do you want to add something?
Yes, I'm sorry. It came back to me.
Great.
If you mentioned this, if you mentioned this, I apologize, but did you say that you can collect maintenance payments?
Absolutely. So
on
we
your
can
site?
collect payments through the site. So that is a great way to, again, just consolidate all of those different aspects into one spot. So you don't have to have other financial tools. You can bring that right into Neighbors.
Okay, so you're set up with all the banks, in other words.
Exactly. So we do have payment processors, as well as a couple different financial integrations. So we do have lots of different options in terms of receiving those payments, even checking exact status updates so you can see which things are overdue, which things have been paid. And again, that is only visible to the board members, so not something that would be publicly available for the residents.
Okay, and is that a real time or is there a 3-day?
Great question. So with a lot of electronic payments, that is real-time updates. So as soon as the resident processes that payment, that will go ahead and show as paid.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So just to finish this Q&A session, I'm gonna mix two questions because how long does it usually take for people to really get comfortable with a new digital system? And what would you suggest for residents who aren't very tech savvy? How can we help them feel comfortable with the new system? So I believe we already gave some suggestions alongside the presentation, but we can always detail it a little bit more now, right, Katie? We surely understand that most of our customers aren't not that as tech savvy as we are, but we also try to be as much as a user friendly as Katie mentioned. Also, we have a very customer success and support team to help you out throughout the implementation, the onboarding process, the ongoing, and we are always giving trainings and things like that. But of course, Katie, I'm gonna let you go a little bit deeper on this answer, please.
Absolutely. Well, I think what you mentioned, Amanda, about general user friendliness, that is something that we have prioritized within Neighbors, is making sure that all of the features are very clearly labeled, that there is that keyword search function that I mentioned with Peggy. So if residents are ever unsure of where a piece of information lives, it makes it really easy to track down. Because like Amanda mentioned, we know that not every resident has a big digital background or is comfortable in, those app spaces. So we really do prioritize that in terms of designing the software on the front end. And we also provide lots of those resident trainings. So we do have monthly standing resident training sessions for any of our communities to join. And we can also create specific sessions for your individual association. Just let us know the date and time. And again, those can always be recorded. I know it's hard to get 100% of residents at the same place and time. So if they can't make it live, they can watch those recordings back. They can reach out to our customer support if they have any questions. And again, we have a whole help center of different articles and videos showing them how to use individual features. So they really have a lot of this information at their fingertips. I think the biggest thing is for you as board members is to make sure that they're aware of those channels of resources. Make sure that they know they can give us a call at our customer support line, send us an email if they need help, and that we are happy to assist in that way. And then again, also that they have all of those different training resources to really get comfortable with that transition.
Great, thank you, Katie. Can you work with an existing property management company? I'm not sure how this. Go ahead, Katie.
Absolutely. So this kind of goes back to what we were just talking about in terms of training for property managers and the fact that they are definitely open to be integrated into the system. So absolutely, we can work with your existing property management company. We add them as a user. You as the board can decide exactly what level of access they need to have within the platform. And again, we will provide that full training for them. So definitely something that is an option here. And it looks like you had a question, Peggy.
No, I just want to make a comment that all they have to do is simply put your link to your website on their website platform that you can click into.
Exactly. Yes, that is a great way to really make sure that there have an easy place to go for all of those training resources. So that's a great point, Peggy.
And vice versa. You can put their link on your website if somebody wants to go back the other direction. So
Exactly.
the reason I know that is because I was formerly vice president for a management company, and that was part of our sales thing of how to put other websites onto our website because we required use of our website as well for communication purposes primarily. So
Absolutely.
That's great, Peggy. Your remarks are being wonderful for this webinar. Thank you so much. And we have two more final questions here. And of course, as we already mentioned before, please feel free to chat to reach out to us by email, by phone. We're gonna send the presentation. So we are gonna reply everybody who we're trying to reply all questions here, but also send to us by email that are gonna do the same, okay? And the two final questions are, which argument can we give when a property management company resists to due to their own website?
I think really that is a great question in terms of just coming down to functionality. And again, property managers work for you. So if you are not satisfied with the tool that they're providing for you, and that is not sufficient in terms of communication or information sharing, that is something that is on the property manager to fix. So even if they provide their own software, again, if that is not meeting your standards within the association, they work for you, so they should be willing to utilize any platform that you would like to implement. And again, keep in mind that we provide all of those different training aspects, really try and communicate that value add. So if their platform is not sufficient, understand how Neighbors would be a better fit. How is that going to improve communication? How is it going to streamline your operations? And again, keep in mind that that is going to make the property manager's life easier as well. So really it is mutually beneficial.
Peggy? No, that's okay. Keith, can you add our current payment processing through your website? I'm not sure if oh, go ahead, Katie.
Depending on what you utilize for payment processing, it is possible. Primarily, we utilize QuickBooks or third-party payment processor called Wave, but on a case-by-case basis, we are open to additional integrations. And depending on the tool that you utilize, it might be something that is easy to integrate in as well, or pop in different links and things like that. So if you do have specific questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to chat with you more on a one-on-one basis there. But keep in mind that the short answer is yes, we are open to some different financial options there. So just kind of depends on what you're utilizing currently.
Awesome. And last but not least, do you have current competitors with similar digital platforms? I don't think we have a competitor that have all-in-one shop as we do. We are one of the largest players on the market, and we do keep growing year. We are, hi, can you hear me? Yes, great. So I'll let Katie complement my answer, please.
Absolutely. So I think exactly like Amanda mentioned, we do have a lot of other competitors within the general property management and condo HOA space, but I do think that Neighbrs is the most tailored not only for board members, but also for residents. It opens the most options for residents to communicate on a resident to resident level and really get the most out of community engagement. And it's also going to be, like Amanda mentioned, the one-stop shop. So you can have all of your information storage, all of your communication, and all of your financials that run through the same platform. So I really do think that it is kind of a standout in terms of being the best fit for such a niche market like community associations. And did you have a question, Peggy?
no, I just have another comment just so that the audience knows from my past experience. When you have to connect or when you set up to connect through a bank for your payments, the banks want X number of dollars guarantee that's going to be going in and out. And they do charge a fee to the management company because at the end of the story, it runs through the management for record keeping and so on. And then it's put back into, the bank account. So if Vinteum or any other company cannot take on the payment process, it has to do with the bank's restraining of the requirements. So it's not necessarily a Vinteum or a competitor issue. It has to do with your bank agreeing to make that, connection to integrate it. is what I'm trying to get to. So your bank would have to be cooperative, and you would have to have quite a large amount of money going through. Now, some of the banks, bigger banks, they don't care. Smaller credit unions and so on, it's an issue. So just understand that, it's maybe a little challenging, but it has nothing to do with whether Vinteum wants to or does not want to make it a part of their program.
Right.
That's all.
I think that is a great point, Peggy. So definitely happy to kind of have those one-on-one conversations. I know each association functions very differently. So that is really the point of those live demos, is to have the conversations on more of a case-by-case basis. So exactly, that is a great point here.
Great. So thank you everybody for all the comments and engagement. Thank you so much. Just to remind you, we do have this special offer for 2 months, so you can really see how our platform work and have more tangible experiences also. Right, Katie? Can you give us a summary of what would the offer would be?
Absolutely. Great point here, Amanda. So again, as Amanda mentioned, thank you all so much for joining today. I really enjoyed the opportunity to present to you and to show you why it is so necessary for you to get digital as your HOA or condo association. So we are again offering 2 months free of your Neighbors subscription, and that is eligible for either our annual or our biannual plans. And again, I would love to get a free demo scheduled. There is no commitment to schedule that demo, but we can chat in more detail. Again, go through any of those case questions that you may have. So please feel free to reach out. I'm here as a resource. I'm available through phone, email, or grab a time on my calendar for a Zoom. So thank you so much again. And Peggy, thanks for giving us the time here. I'll kick it back over to you.
Thank you very much, Peggy, and all of our sponsors as well. Very much thank you. We're very excited and happy about this webinar.
I have just a closing comment. We have several, I want to say maybe 8 or 10 webinars coming up. I want to just mention 2. One is Monday, May 5th, which is a COA, Condo Association Board certification. And then on May 12th, we have the HOA board certification. Both of them are 2 to 3 hours. I don't believe they're 4, but I did advertise 4 with questions in case we need time. But these are individual, separate, not a combined one, which I know some of those are out there, but it's very important to have them separate. So I hope you join us, and great job today, Katie and Amanda. And thank you to my sponsors, and thank you to Julia down there running the operation. See you on the next one. Thank you.